Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Corey.
And I'm Keisha.
And we are HisHerbs. We're just some small time, soon to be big time gardener, growing food in the high desert of Southern California. So today, y'all, what we wanted to do is we wanted to talk to the new gardeners who are starting their seeds, starting their gardens for the first time, starting their seeds for the first time. And we just want to give some input from our experience about seed starting. All right, seed starting. Depending on what videos you watch, it can kind of seem kind of complicated sometimes, and scary to start, because when you get into something new, you don't have all the information right off the bat, so it can be a little bit intimidating. And we don't want gardeners to have new gardeners to have paralysis by analysis. So our main seed starting person actually is Keisha, and we're sitting in the baby making station right now. The baby making station is just our
nursery.
Yeah, our nursery. Indoor nursery. That's it. It's got the shelves with the lights and all that good stuff, right? But she's our primary seed starter. I help out from when I can from time to time, but when it comes down to getting everything started, she's the primary. So what I'm going to do is just ask her a couple of questions about her experience and what she thinks as far as seed starting is concerned. So, ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so let's get started. So Keisha, what would you say would be like first time gardener? We got the first time gardeners. They want to get their seeds planted, started. What would be like an important thing for that you think that they should understand before they get started?
I think that they should understand how to follow instructions.
Reading is fundamental.
Reading and comprehension. So I definitely think that they should learn how to follow instructions. When I first started growing, starting seeds, I started with a greenhouse kit like this, and it came with everything I needed except for the seeds. Doesn't come with seeds, but it came with everything I needed in order to start little seeds from the beginning and get them all the way up until a point to where there's something like this.
A nice established plant.
A nice established plant.
Right on.
And if you follow directions, you don't have to, it takes all the guesswork out of it. You're new. You don't need to have to figure things out or make things up along the way. You want to grow food and you want to understand. You want to know that what you're doing is working. So follow directions.
And that means follow the directions on this thing right here, because it'll tell you how to increase your success rate if you use this properly, right? And then also make sure you follow the directions on the seed
packet as well. Yeah.
So every seed is implanted to the same depth and stuff like that. So you want to know what depth, because if you plant it too deep, it's not gonna. It may not sprout. If you plant it too shallow, the roots may not have enough to hold on to. So it's gonna be real flimsy.
Yeah,
right?
There's things to take into consideration when you're a new gardener, like the heaviness or lightness of a soil. They've already got this figured out in these little pods that come inside of here. You know what?
Good.
So yeah, that was one of the reasons why I say start. Follow instructions, because they've already gotten this thing figured out. They are going to give you these things. They're peat pellets, and they're like a flat disc, and they are light enough for you to grow baby seeds in, no matter what size they are. And I'm sure Corey will talk later about the heavier soil. Yeah, so these are they take let's just say they take all the guesswork out.
So this is something you would recommend for a beginner gardener?
I would recommend this for a beginner gardener, because you're gonna look at these instructions and they're gonna tell you exactly what to do, versus you trying to figure everything out for yourself, being a new gardener. This is what your little peat moss pellet is going to look like when you first get it. But you're going to have to add warm water inside your tray, and once you sit it down for a while, it will go from this to this. Got your little nice little moist pod to grow your seed in.
Easy peasy. Another thing about these pellets, they come wrapped in this, I don't know what kind of fabric this is, but that's biodegradable, so it's supposed to break down in the soil. So you can actually take the whole peat pod, put it in the soil, any garden, and it'll be fine. Now,
I don't do that.
Yeah,
but you can if you
yeah,
want.
I'd still be finding that little thing in the garden.
I
like,
know.
like I'm like biodegradable, huh?
Because I want the roots to be able to really go through really easily. So yeah.
All right, so cool. So, and these things, this is just a greenhouse kit. You see these in all the big box stores around this time of year. This is a 72 cell kit. It says it right there. They do come in with ones that are fewer cells but larger. They're larger. And those are for things that need to be that you're going to be having in these trays for a little bit longer. Like these are really good for herbs for they're good for everything.
Maybe
really.
Onions.
Herbs, onions, even peppers and tomatoes. However, they do have one that they make that's a little bit bigger pellet than this. That is maybe the size. I don't know, maybe about the size of a silver dollar or something like that, right? But you get fewer in here.
Yeah.
And they are more for like tomatoes, and if you want to grow any kind of melons or squash or something like that, something that's going to root very fast, grow fast. It gives
watermelons.
Watermelons. It has more space, more time. It just buys you more time
before you have to up pot
transplant or up pot it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So and peat. And peat is an inert media, meaning that it doesn't have any nutritional value in it. It's just something to grow things in, which means that by using these, you're less likely to get fungus gnats, right? Because there's nothing in there there's no insects, there's no NPK, which is another topic for another day. But that's what we have right here, right? For starters, get you one of these greenhouse kits, you're good to go. Now, my preferred method. What's your preferred method? Using the peat pellets?
That is how I started. So
that's what I'm saying. For starting.
So my preferred method, I get like a good 90 plus. What do you call it? Success rate, germination rate. So
my preferred method is to use something like this. So these trays, this is just a standard seed starting tray that you would find once again in some big box stores or maybe some specialty stores around town. You can even find them online, Amazon, all that good stuff. You get the point. But this is my preferred method, right? Is to use these. The peat pellets are great. I have no objection to them. But for me personally, I like to use these because sometimes life be lifing, and I may not get to my starts when I'm supposed to, the up pot. So these spaces give me a little bit more time to, make a mistake and forget about them for a day or two, without the plants being affected by, the spacing and all that good stuff, right? So that's just my logic. Not saying it's right or wrong, just saying that's just the way I'm thinking, right? But I like to use these trays and make our own mix, which seems to be really effective. We started it last year and we really like it. So now, before we get into the mix, the second thing that you guys should be aware of is not all seed starting and potting mixes are created equal, right?
No, not at all.
So let's talk about the difference between seed starting mix and potting mix, for example. So some people love to use potting mix to start their seeds, which is great. It's fine. Just understand that potting mix does have the things in it that's gonna give you insects in your house. So if you're gonna start things indoors, you have to understand that that's gonna come with the territory, right? Potting mixes, and sometimes potting mixes are too thick, right? So if you're a beginner gardener, don't use potting mix. Don't do it because somebody recommended it or suggested it or whatever. from my opinion. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, don't use them because I hear a lot of people say that they don't have a green thumb and they couldn't grow food, and a lot of the times they don't realize, because when you're new, you just think throw some seeds inside some dirt. No, it really is a bit of a science to it. It really is.
And the first thing to understand is that if you're using a potting mix, sometimes those potting mixes can be a little too thick for that seed to germinate and it do right, and you're gonna just smother it out before it even has a chance to start growing. So if you're new to gardening, I would say stay away from potting mix until you have an understanding of how the seed, how easy it is to actually grow a seed. Um, and like I said, we're doing this video so that you can improve your success rate, your germination rate for your plants, right? So last year we used the potting mix because we were like, oh, it's going to have nutrition in it for the plants, so when they root, they're going to be good to go. And we like, I'm gonna be honest with you, we had maybe 25% success germination rate from everything that we planted.
Nice. It ruined my whole, like a good 75% of my herb growing.
Yeah, it's like things didn't come up, and if they did come up,
they were weak.
They were just weak and slow. They grew so slow. I'm still waiting for my peppers from last year to pop up. But then when we got a recipe from a friend of ours, Pepper Rookie, right? He sent us the recipe that he used, and we started using that, and it worked pretty well. And it's just a basic seed starting mix, right? Nothing fancy, but I really like the way it worked because of one ingredient that we were adding to it that kind of helped, in my opinion, helped it out.
What? Cocoa core?
No, actually, the worm castings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the worm castings gave it enough of a minute amount of nutrition to where it wasn't gonna like push the plants to grow too big or grow excessively, but it gave it enough to where when we did use it, the plants looked nice and strong and healthy. So I think that was the difference maker, right? But that's me, right? That's just me. That's my opinion. So if you're new, stick to the basics at first until you get familiar and you get comfortable, and then you can upgrade to something else. And definitely stay away from potting mix in the beginning. Some people use potting mix and they have success, and more power to you. Like, I'm not saying that it's necessarily bad. I'm just saying the one that we used last year was way too thick.
It was way too thick.
Didn't have any
to be
success.
Starting seeds.
Yeah. No, we didn't. And things went better on the second time around when we started using our own mix, which is this right here. Now, before we get started in this, just to let you know, you can buy seed starting mix straight in the bag, right in the bag, ready to go. There's nothing wrong with this. Nothing at all. Matter of fact, I just bought this the other day because the store I was in did not have perlite or peat moss. So I just grabbed this bag. It was like $5. I was like, that'll do, right? So if I want to improve this, in my opinion, I'll just add some worm castings to this mix, and it'll be good to go. And because this is only it's 60 to 70% peat moss, vermiculite, core pith, and lime as a pH balancer or regulator, adjuster, right? So that's it. That's all that's in here: lime, peat moss, cocoa core, or cocoa, what they call it, pith, core pith, which I'm assuming is cocoa core, right? That's it. Whereas when I make my own, I'm basically using the same ingredients. This right here, I think, is the difference maker, which is worm castings. Okay, we use the peat moss, same thing that's in the seed starting mix, and we use perlite. My perlite, right? Then perlite. Think of perlite as like a space maker, right? You don't want your mix to be too thick,
too compact.
So what perlite does is it takes up space in your mix and allows for airflow and drainage and stuff like that, right? Like I said, the peat moss is a good inert medium for everything to grow in, but it has no nutritional value, which is why you add some worm castings and that's going to give the plants, the seeds, the plant something to feed on as the roots get established, right? And this is super easy to make. Depending on how many trays you have to make and how many plants you plan on starting, you just use the appropriate mix of peat moss, dump in some perlite, dump in maybe this is I don't know how many ounces this cup is, but let's say it's 32, whatever it is, 32, 40 something ounces, whatever, right?
And this way may be more cost effective.
Yeah,
it
you're
is
gonna
more,
get more bang for your buck.
yeah, you're gonna get way more, and that's why I was saying if we mess around and ran out. So what is it? Peat moss comes in a big giant.
Yeah, you can get a big bale.
Yeah,
a big, sometimes 2 cubic foot bale, and that stuff lasts forever, forever, right? And that's typically what we buy, but just haven't made it out to the store yet to get that. Now, to be honest, my preference is vermiculite and cocoa core. They say peat moss is for moisture retention, but man, I
haven't
promise
found that.
I haven't had the same
true.
experience. Yeah,
it could be true, but I don't know. When you first wet it, it just doesn't absorb. It's not absorbing the water as fast as
it doesn't
I like.
want to get the water.
Yeah.
And then once it does get the water, it does look nice and good, nice and fluffy and good and healthy. But
you start digging down some.
Yeah, and it takes a lot to get
it does
wet and throughout, consistently wet, and then it dries, and then it dries out so fast.
Yeah.
And it's
and we're in the desert.
And you're moisture retention. No, that's not what it's doing right now. But this is a mix that I made a couple of days ago, and honestly, it's nice. It's still nice and moist.
It looks good.
Yeah, it's still nice and moist.
Wow.
I like it. It's nice and fluffy.
Wait, does that have worm castings in it?
It does. So that's how we make our mix. Just maybe a cup or 2 of worm castings, vermiculite or peat or perlite, and peat moss or cocoa core. Mix that in really good, and there's your mix. There's your basic seed starting mix. If you don't want to do that, if you just want to keep things basic, like we said before, get you a bag of this, add you a cup or 2 of worm castings. It's the same thing. You're good to go. All right, so now let's talk about seeds real quick. Seeds, now for me, I think it's really important for you to understand, get your seeds from a reputable source if you can. Who really isn't a reputable source? How do we know anyway, right? You can get them from the Dollar Tree, and we've had things from the Dollar Tree grow just fine. We've had we've bought things from the big box stores, the Burpee brand seeds. We bought them from Haas seeds. We bought them True Leaf Market.
We've even got them from Baker Creek.
We have not. There's a ton of them out there.
We've even got them from Homestead Heart.
Yeah, we've got them from Homestead Heart. So just getting your seeds from some place that actually acts like they care about what it is that they're growing.
The best you can do.
Yeah, that's the best you could do and then I did think that American Seeds, which is the ones from the Dollar Tree, I doubted them because I was like, it's a Dollar Tree, but they grow just fine. They grow just fine. I haven't had any issues with them. But the reason why I'm making a point about buying them from a reputable source is you just have to be careful, because you remember a couple of years ago, you were getting seeds from China, and people were planting them not knowing.
And that was weird.
Yeah, what they were actually planting, and it was an invasive species, and they were just taking over people's gardens.
So another way that you can get a reputable source of seeds is that you can connect with groups in your area. You guys can trade seeds from the year before. We'll be going to a seed swap if Lakeisha has it this year, which we went last year, and the stuff that already grows in your area is perfect for your environment, for the zone that you live in, because somebody has already grown it successfully, and now you got your seeds, and they are just ready for that same environment.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it is, when you buy from people that are locally or trade with people that are locally, we're not saying go buy some Burpee seeds and go trade
No,
you can do that.
You can. If that's all you have, it's your first year gardening, take some Burpee seeds.
Yeah, if you don't want to show up empty-handed, by all means, right? take some of the extras that you may already have, right? But what Keisha's talking about is basically like land race agriculture, right? Which is another topic for another day, right? But basically, every time if you grow, let's say you grow a pumpkin, and that pumpkin turns out great, right? And you collect the seeds and you plant those seeds again the following year. About the third time that you do that, that pumpkin is going to be so well acclimated to your environment that it's like it's going to improve the germination and the growth rate, the success rate of that pumpkin year after year, right? So it's going to be really good for growing in that area. Like for us, where it's really dry, it's not humid at all, it's really hot. Those pumpkins will do really well for the desert, right? Now, with that being said, you have to understand that may be why you feel like you don't have a green thumb, or this may be a bit of a challenge, because if you buy the same type of pumpkin from someplace in Georgia who has a different environment than you do, the pumpkins may not respond when they grow in your environment the same way. So you have to understand that and say it's not your fault. It's what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Right. And that's why I definitely encourage you to connect with. That's a nice little hack, is to just connect with gardeners in your area. You're gonna miss a lot of the mistakes that new gardeners make,
because they've already done it.
They've already done it. There's certain trees that you can grow in your environment because we all fall up under a certain zone depending on where you live at. You have a zone specific seeds or trees. They are specific to certain parts of the world. So, for instance, here Corey really wants to grow bananas, but our environment wanted. There's a tropical plant, and our environment hasn't allowed us to do it.
Yeah, gets too cold in the winter. So I said the next time I'll do it, I'm gonna try it in a high tunnel to see how that works, because we saw Grow Family Network do it, and they grow in a high tunnel, and they get
but they're also down in the south. I don't know what zone they're in.
Me neither. But they get colder than we do. You know.
They have a high tunnel.
They have a high tunnel.
Do.
And they do. They have them in a high tunnel. They got mango trees in a high tunnel and everything. So, but yeah. So it's important to understand that when you're growing your seeds, make sure you pick the right seeds for your environment. If you can help it, find a local gardening group, Facebook, next door, somewhere, and see if people have seeds that from where they've grown the previous years, because that can help you out a lot, right? That can help you out a whole lot. All right, y'all. So now for the last thing, this is the thing. This has been a game changer for us since last year. Like we said, we will never start seeds without these things again. This will definitely improve your germination rate if you've been struggling so far. And for the new gardeners, make sure you have at least two or four of these. I ain't even say two or three, two to four of these, because of the price. The price is so good. Good that it's like, why not have four? But this right here is the game changer, and it is a heat mat. Listen, between that mix, the new mix that we started using, and I know, I know some things seem like common sense, but this is one of these things that I felt like probably overrated. I don't know if we're gonna necessarily need it, but I decided to try it, and it's just to see what would happen. I was like, I bought these 2 for $20, and I'm like, we're gonna grab like 8 more, because this thing, like everything came up.
Yeah.
Everything. I will say for the first time around with the peppers and the melons, like I said, I had like a 25% success rate, germination rate. After this, the melons shot up to like 100% success germination rate. The peppers were at high 90s, almost 100% germination rate with the peppers. And it got to the point where me and Keisha was like, you fighting over the heat mat, right?
Yeah. No. We have 2.
We only had 2. So she had one, she would use one, I would use one. And as things sprouted and it didn't need to be on the heat mat anymore, we were just rotating. That was it. But game changer right here, y'all. Make sure you have your heat mat if you're an experienced gardener and you're not using one, or you're a beginner gardener, make sure you get one. If you're an experienced gardener, trust me, you're gonna want one of these things. These things work phenomenally, and they don't get hot. They get nice and warm, like comfortably warm, like 80 degrees, right? So at no point with this one only got up to 80 degrees. No point when I touched it would I get burned. I can leave my hand up there almost indefinitely and wouldn't get burned. They do have some that's a little bit more advanced, a little bit more technical. They have like little gauges and meters and things you can adjust the temperature. I don't know what.
Wow.
I don't know because I haven't played with them, so I don't know like how hot they actually get. But I know these right here, basic heat mat. They're waterproof. All right, so guys, so like I said, the heat mat was the game changer. So I think that's all that we have for you guys for today, right? Those are some basic tips for seed starting for the beginners.
So can you go over them really quickly?
We talked about seed starting mix, good seeds, the heat mat, the cell, the trays, stuff like that. So trying to hurry up because I'm about to run out of space, so I don't want to. We try to just hurry up and get through this. So we appreciate you guys for watching, and until next time, y'all. See you in the next video.
All right.
Deuces.